Welcome back, besties. It is my favorite time of the month. It's TBR jar time. If you're new here, welcome. This is a series I do every month to help me pick out my TBR for the month ahead. I pick out a bunch of prompts from my jar, and then we obviously choose my TBR according to the prompts. I am going to switch things up a tiny bit this month. So usually I choose 8 prompts for my TBR, but I have just found recently that when I choose 8, I spend the entire month only focusing on my TBR, which is fine, except that it doesn't leave room for like new releases and maybe like themed videos that I want to work on and things like that. And I wouldn't mind as much not completing my TBR, but some of you guys get really disappointed when I don't read the books on my TBR, and obviously I hate disappointing you, but I just feel like picking 8 books is just like, it's just not leaving me enough room for also being able to mood read aside from that. So I am going to bring down the prompts a little bit to 6, which I think is still fine. Like, we're still picking 6 prompts, 6 books, and I'm just gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a test run, I guess. Also, we have so many new books on our TBR cart because it was my birthday last month and I got a lot of new books. So our TBR cart is actually double-sided on the top and middle rows for the first time in a very long time. Usually I try to keep it just like one side because that just feels a little bit more doable to me, and I try not to have like a ridiculous TBR, but my birthday is like the one time where I really like stock up. And also April, there were so many good new releases, so there was a lot of book shopping done in April, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll read a bunch of them in May. The only one I want to pull out is The Crimson Moth. I want to pull that one out because I will definitely be reading it this month, because this is my little like friendship group's book club book of the month. It was Soph's turn to pick this month and she chose The Crimson Moth, and so I thought I would just include it in this video too, just to keep you guys updated in case you want to follow along with us. I don't have like a virtual book club or anything, but we often like vlog our little book club, so if you want to be an honorary member of our little book club, this is the one that we have chosen to read. All I know about this book is that it's YA fantasy, and I think she's like a socialite by day and then like a, I don't know if assassin by night, but like something like that. Also, she's a witch. In the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic, and Rune must hide what she is. Spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rune spends her nights as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. It just sounds really, really interesting. So like socialite by day, hero pretty much by night, or like vigilante, I guess. Very, very intrigued by this one. I've heard some great reviews. I have a feeling it's called something else in the US, or like maybe just some other countries in general, just in case you guys want to get your hands on it. The Heartless Hunter. Yeah, I'm not really sure why it's got 2 different names, but it's either called The Heartless Hunter or The Crimson Moth, and apparently it's going to be a duology, but the second one isn't out yet, so excited to pick that one up. And I guess that's like kind of part of our TBR, but not like officially, you know? Let's move on to our actual TBR. Starting off with prompt number 1, Liam chooses. He's at work. He might be on his lunch break at the moment. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna text him. Can you pick a number between 1 and 60? I don't think he would have time for me to like call him, and I don't want to wait for him to get home from work because that is so long away. So I've just messaged him asking if he can pick a random number between 1 and 60, and depending on that number, I will count along what that number is, and whatever book that is will be on my TBR. I don't know when he's gonna reply because, again, he's at work. He might be busy in a meeting or something, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. That one is TBD. Moving on to prompt number 2, a book that everyone has read but you haven't. Ooh, this is a good prompt. So obviously it's like a popular book that it feels like everyone has read except for me. I don't know what to choose for this. There's a lot of not super popular books on my card at the moment, actually. We have some new releases. Wow, okay, we haven't got any, maybe I'm just like totally missing it, but I feel like I haven't got any like super popular BookTok books. However, there is a new release that I feel like it feels like everyone has read apart from me, and that is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Kind of matches my shirt. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Obviously, it's a new release, so not everyone has read it, but it is one of those books that I feel like so many people were looking forward to it coming out, and when it did come out, so many people bought it straight away and read it straight away. I feel like a lot of my friends have read it as well, like social media friends, real life friends, and I am yet to pick it up. I wanted to pick it up in my reading new releases video that I filmed recently, but there were just so many new releases, and I was already really anticipating 2 romance books, so I was like, I can't I don't have time to have another one in that video, but if I did, this would have been in there. But I've heard incredible things about this. Like, I feel like it has super high ratings. Everyone seems to be loving it. As far as I'm aware, this is a new small town romance kind. I don't know, is it even cowboy? I don't actually know if it is cowboy. If you guys don't know, Elsie Silver is the author of the Chestnut Springs series, which is just a very popular cowboy romance series. She also has other books, but I feel like that's what she is most known for. And then she's come out with this new series. It's called the Rose Hill series, and I think it's all going to be billionaire romances potentially. I know this one is definitely billionaire, but I think they're all going to be billionaire. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Obviously I haven't read it, and I've tried to stay away from as many spoilers and reviews as possible just to go in as blindly as I can. And I think it's set in the same world as Chestnut Springs, but not in Chestnut Springs. So it's like another small town in a somewhat close proximity, not like right next to it, but the characters all exist in the same universe basically. I think the guy in this one is related to one of the girls in Chestnut Springs, like her brother or something. So I guess I'll find out when I read it, but I'm really intrigued. I've heard some people say that this is Elsie Silver's best one yet, and so I'm hoping I agree with that. Very highly anticipated for me. Moving on to prompt number 3, a book with a blue cover. We have so many. I would say the rule book could be considered. Maybe Snow Globe. I mean, that obviously has some other colors going on as well, but don't they all? 28 Summers, that's a lot of blue. There are truly so many options. The Immortalists, that's very blue as well. On the other side of the cart, we have The Storied Life of AJ Fickery. That's probably like the really blue ones that we have, I would say. I could also do that one as well. I don't really feel like it though, so I'm not going to. And also I could do that other Ellen Hildebrand, but I feel like I should just start off with one on here. Which one do I feel like adding to my TBR? We have one romance and one fantasy on the TBR so far, so it doesn't really matter too much what I pick. I kind of want to go with 28 Summers, I think. I've been wanting to read this for a really, really long time, literally years at this point, and Bestie Des sent this to me because it's really hard to get these books in Australia, and so she sent it to me as a gift, and ever since I received it, I've been wanting to pick it up, but I feel like, why not read a summer book in autumn? I really should have read it in summer, but it's still not like freezing here, so I feel like I could still get away with it. I don't love reading summer books in the middle of winter because it just gives me a lot of summer FOMO and makes me sad. I don't really know too much about this. 28 Summers explores the agony and romance of a one weekend per year affair and the dramatic ways this relationship complicates and enriches their lives and the lives of the people they love. Are they cheating on their partners? Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Everyone loves this book, and I feel like everyone hates cheating, so like I'm very intrigued by that. I don't quite understand, but I'm gonna give it a go and see what I think. Having such a full TBR cart is actually quite frustrating, trying to get the books in and out if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Prompt number 4, odd amount of pages. Okay, there's a bit of freedom with this one. So what do I feel like reading? I really do want to read this. 623 pages. Okay, maybe I'm gonna put Saving 6 on my TBR. I feel like I should have picked a fantasy or something, but I've been really wanting to read this. So right now we have a TBR full of romance books. I don't know if that's good or bad. I just think it's time for me to pick this up, especially since Taming 7 recently came out. I feel like I'm like so behind on this series. Obviously I've read Binding and Keeping 13 and I really enjoyed them. I do find them very taxing emotionally to read because one of the main characters lives in a really, really difficult home situation, and it just takes a lot out of me to read it. Like, I just find it really hard to read about such a devastating situation that these characters are going through, and I know that I'm gonna have to relive that in this book, and so I've really been putting it off because I just find it really hard. But it also makes you so emotionally attached to the characters because you really, really feel for them. But I almost just wish I could have like the happy moments without the sad ones. I'm sure I wouldn't be as emotionally invested if I didn't have the sad parts, but gosh, it's just a little bit taxing. So I've been putting it off, but I think it is time to continue this series. And yes, they are long, like 600 pages for a romance book, like not even one romance book, but like these 2 books are about the same couple. Like, how much do you have to say? Surely not 1,200 pages worth. Apparently there is that much to say, but they fly by. Like, the first 2 books in the series are so long, they flew by. Like, I was shocked. I honestly would say don't be intimidated by the size of these books if that's putting you off, because it's just like the easiest writing. Like, it's just almost a bit brainless to go through. So we're gonna add that one. Moving on to prompt number 5, an animal on the cover. Okay, I want a fantasy book so bad, but I feel like there's not going to be any fantasy books. That one does not have an animal. Like, I feel like they're going to be in a romance book cover, you know what I mean? That one has tea, no animals. I know that the Final Empire has a dog in it, but there is no dog on the cover. I really want to check the books that I really want to read first. Oh, does this count? It has a teddy bear on the front, and a bear is an animal. We'll see. Oh, the Prisoner's Throne has a butterfly on it. Okay, that is a great option. Do we have any? Oh, we have a dragon. Is a dragon an animal or a mythical creature? I feel like more so mythical creature. Ooh, we have Where Sleeping Girls Lie. It has a bird on the front. That's also a great option. How Does It Feel also has some moth bug looking thing on it. Okay, we actually have way more options than I originally thought we were going to have. That is fantastic. Okay, I am choosing between The Prisoner's Throne, Where Sleeping Girls Lie, and How Does It Feel. I'm gonna put How Does It Feel back because I'm just, I don't know, not in the mood for it. I want to read both of these. This one is like a YA thriller and this one is YA fantasy. I'm gonna put The Prisoner's Throne on the official TBR. I would love to get to this one as well, but I recently read or reread the first book in this duology to kind of like remind myself all of the details from when I first read it a year ago. So I really want to read this soon while my mind is still refreshed before I forget any of the details. Last prompt for the month. Sports related book. Okay. Ooh, is Say You Swear sports yeah, it literally has a football on the front cover, Rachel. We also have the rule book. I could have also done Saving Six because isn't that like, I know Joey plays sport. So would that be a sports romance? I'm sure there are more on here as well. Is F1 a sport? Because we have Rush, which I think is an F1. I don't know. I think it might be considered a sport, but I just don't want to risk it. I think I'm going to stick with these two options. I kind of want to read the rulebook because it's a new release, and I feel like it's just fun to read new releases like close to when they are released. But then Say You Swear has been on my TBR for so long, and it would be so satisfying getting it off my TBR. And it's also on my 24 books to read in 2024. I've also heard such mixed things about it, so I'm so intrigued to know what I'm going to think about it because some people love it and some people hate it. But also some people love this and some people don't like this, at least from the reviews I've seen so far. I don't know. I'm gonna go Say You Swear. I'm gonna do it. For years I've dreamed of what college life could bring, and while some things changed, there was always one constant. It didn't matter how wild I allowed my imagination to run. My future was clear, and he was it, until suddenly he wasn't. Now there's a new man in my life, one who isn't afraid to go after what he wants, and what he wants is me. Interesting. I really don't know if I'm going to like this. I feel like I could, but I also could really not like it. Like I just have no idea. I feel like people describe this kind of as a bit of like a Wattpad type situation. So I'm gonna go in with those type of expectations because sometimes a Wattpad-y vibe is honestly so much fun. Like sometimes it's cringy and it's a bit bad, but it's so entertaining, and sometimes I just have a lot of fun with it. So I'm gonna try and go in with just kind of almost like low expectations in terms of like writing and like cringiness, but I'm hoping I really enjoy this. Okay, Liam still has not replied, so do I just like wait till he replies before I can come back and give you the final TBR? I kind of might have to. I will be back in a bit when I get a reply from Liam to choose our last book for our May TBR. Okay, I'm back. Liam replied and he said 3. So I actually haven't even looked at what is number 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh. For a second I was like, oh, is it gonna be... I thought my Boys of Tommen series were at the beginning, and I was like, oh no, it's gonna be Taming 7 or something, and I will have to choose again. But it's not. It's A Tempest of Tea, which I'm so excited about. I showed this during my birthday book haul, and it just looks so freaking good. This is the author of We Hunt the Flame, which I haven't read, but I've heard incredible things about. And on the back it says, is that Arthi or Artie? Arthi Casimir is a criminal mastermind and a collector of secrets. Her prestigious tea room transforms into an illegal bloodhouse by night, catering to the vampires feared by society. But when the tea room and its secrets come under threat, Arthi must lead a gang of outcasts in a high-stakes heist to the sinister vampire underworld. It's kind of giving Six of Crows energy, but with vampires and a tea house. I am ecstatic about this. Shout out Liam, that was a great pick from him. So let's do a little recap of the books I have on my TBR for this month. Like I mentioned, for my book club, we're reading The Crimson Moth, so this is an unofficial TBR mention. Next up, we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver, 28 Summers by Ellen Hildebrand, also my first Ellen Hildebrand, which is very exciting. Saving Six by Chloe Walsh, The Prisoner's Throne, Say You Swear, and lastly, A Tempest of Tea. I'm stoked with that list. Let me know if you want to see any of these books specifically in a reading vlog, or if you have any ideas for fun little reading vlog themes I could do this month. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me to pick out my TBR for the month of May, and I will see you guys in a few days with my April wrap up. Goodbye.